Maybole, the ancient capital of Carrick, is a small Ayrshire town with a population of 4,500. Dating back to the 12th century, it is rich in history and reflects in a picturesque high street, which boasts buildings such as the 15th century castle and Carnegie Library and Town Hall. Over the years, the town has become increasingly crowded. Maybole, situated 44 miles southwest of Glasgow, is located on the main route of the A77, linking the busy ferry terminal of Stranraer with central Scotland and beyond. Maybole Community Council was set up in 1976. The case for the local bypass has been a major concern of the council. Difficulties caused by the volume and even increasing size of vehicles passing through Maybole have long been an issue.
Someone locally is manipulating the road signs. We know that they were wrong the first time by telling us there was no signs there.
Well, I think there's a lot of people in Maybole are in favour of a bypass. If you think of what the issues actually are, which include pollution, noise, safety, parents being terrified to take prams down the high street. Lots of people think that Maybole High Street is just a huge accident waiting to happen.
The Bypass Committee was set up as a subcommittee of the Community Council and is chaired by Peter Mason.
High Street. That's my main concerns, obviously, is public safety and historical buildings being ruined. Don't protest, then the Scottish Office is going to continue to sit on the decision making about a bypass.
People in Maybole want a bypass, we all need to come out and tell people.
The Bypass Committee, I think, are doing a really good job of highlighting the problems in the area. I know that they've been doing a number of things, having peaceful protests where they've been crossing the road, making sure that the traffic has stopped safely. They've been having banners. Of course, there's banners as you go through the town now, so nobody could miss that.
Do you think local businesses will suffer from that?
No, local businesses will definitely not suffer by the bypass coming to Maybole. If anything at all, it will increase businesses.
I think there's definitely mixed messages about whether a bypass will benefit businesses or not. I personally believe that by bypassing the town and by making the high street a safer place, it will help businesses no end. We've experienced people's inability to want to cross the street. It's not easy, for example, if you're at the top chemist to cross to the paper shop, or vice versa, or if you're at the library to cross towards the castle, it's not easy either. By reducing the traffic on the roads, clearly that will make movement around the high street easier, and with that can only help businesses. There are other businesses, like the petrol station, for example, you could argue could lose business by not having passing trade. However, I believe a lot of these issues can be addressed by proper signposting. If there was a bypass, if signposts were put in place to direct people towards the benefits and the features that the town can offer, then traffic can still be encouraged to come in here. So I think nobody will lose.
Councillor Brian Connolly owns two businesses on the high street, the service station and the hardware store.
I think one of the important things is the benefits to the rest of the town. Although the petrol station probably would be adversely affected slightly, the benefits to the rest of the town and would outweigh the negatives. So we're hoping that this part of the business would improve or increase to compensate for possibly the reduction in the petrol sales, but nobody knows. It's a gamble. Nobody knows what's going to happen.
Gordon Coburn is a local artist and owner of Coburn's Art Gallery. This type of business would be a strong feature on the regenerated Maybole High Street.
The biggest bugbear is the heavy vehicles with the narrow street. It's quite dangerous.
So do you think that businesses like yours would suffer if a bypass was built?
Well, it's all depending what they do to the local authorities do to help. I mean, certainly I do have some passing trade. There is a percentage of the trade comes from people seeing the gallery and passing, but it certainly would be beneficial to do the town up in that aspect and put more money into it. You don't want to discourage the cars, but you definitely want to discourage the heavy goods vehicles. That's really where the trouble is coming from, definitely.
Well, I've tried to think of something that would be a bad effect of a bypass, and I really can't think of it. Sometimes you would think if a town was bypassed, people would stop using it, passing traffic. I don't think there's a lot of passing trade in Maybole, because although Maybole and local people know where to park, strangers don't see anywhere to park in Maybole. There's very little opportunity for stopping. That would be the main drawback of a bypass, that you are bypassing a town's lifeblood and passing trade. I don't think that would happen in Maybole.
We've got lots and lots of things to offer people, but getting them to stop is the hard thing. If we've got good parking, that'll cure that.
The In-N-Out store and Primo's Fish and Chip Shop are hot food take-away stores located at opposite ends of the town. These businesses rely on the passing trade and are opposed to the bypass for the town.
How do you feel the bypass would affect your business?
Oh, it would have a detrimental effect on this business because we rely so much on passing trade.
How big a percentage of your business comes from passing trade?
I would say probably 60%.
You've heard much about ideas the groups such as Community Council have to regain the town and attract visitors. How do you feel?
I think that's very important to get as many visitors, especially when there's so many beautiful scenery around and so many other tourist attractions in Ayrshire. Very important.
I think the main growth industry in this area is tourism. I don't think we're doing enough to exploit that.
You really need to put that infrastructure in place to make sure that there is an attraction for tourism. Tourism is the thing that you need. But there is lots round about to come in this area, from golf to like Culzean Castle, Turnberry, you've all that round about. It's all there, you just need to fix it onto Maybole.
What about the condition of the historic buildings in the picturesque High Street, the town's tourist attractions?
The historic buildings, for argument's sake, the castle behind us, this has got no actual foundations. We know foundations in this day and age. This castle is crumbling.
Simply, the High Street was built before vehicles of any size and capacity were invented, so they're not designed to stand up to traffic vibration, and the sheer volume of traffic going through the town is obviously causing other damage with erosion, pollution, etc. So there's no good news.
The flow of traffic through the small town also raises concerns of public safety.
The real problem is the speed of mainly lorries and cars going through the town, and I know many people, including myself, are quite frightened when you go into the High Street, and especially if you have one or two or several children in a pram. I know my daughter, for instance, just avoids going to Maybole High Street. So I think it's intimidating and frightening.
I think that if we were to get a bypass or improvements in the road system, people would actually be able to walk in the main street in Maybole without worrying about whether they were going to get hit or there was going to be problems with passing traffic. And what I did before was I brought down the previous Transport Minister, Nicholl Stephen, who's now the Deputy First Minister, and we brought him down into Maybole at a very, very busy time, and we walked down the street together so that he could see for himself just what could potentially happen. And the thing that struck him most was at the very narrowest bits of the pavement, it would have been impossible for somebody with a pram or a buggy to pass that section without actually going onto the road. And I know that he was really worried about that.
One of the main reasons I became involved in the bypass was because of the volume of traffic that was actually going through Maybole. At that time I worked in Carrick Academy, and I was very concerned for the safety of the school kids in Carrick Academy. At lunch breaks, once the kids are going over across the swimming pool, I think the kids are actually in danger.
Mr Wilson of Carrick Academy shares his concerns for the safety of the pupils.
Outside the school the road is wider and straighter, but that causes other problems as well because traffic tends to speed up as it leaves the town and is just slowing down when it comes into the town. But you well know that you go to town hall for a number of events for the school, so you're at risk when you're walking down via the town to go to events crossing the road to go to town hall. The road is busy, when the school finishes at 3:30 a whole number of people leave the school and go down the main street. In the past 2 years we've had 2 people knocked down over that time. Thankfully they're okay and there's no serious accidents and injuries, but I think people were okay. But there's so many people leaving the school, it's quite a danger for us. There are railings to help people, but obviously pupil safety is paramount to us.
There is a process going on just now that people will be aware of. It's called the STAG appraisal, where people have to produce a report that will look at whether it's value for money or not. That takes time. It's maybe taken a wee bit longer than a lot of folk had hoped because we were promised the report earlier, and I think people are now understandably getting a bit frustrated that that report hasn't come out yet.
The town now waits in anticipation for the results to learn the next step which will be taken toward agreeing to the bypass.
At the end, once Stag 2 is completed, if it's necessary, we will start campaigning to push for a bypass.